Welcome back to my channel, everybody. In this video, I'm gonna actually be doing something that I've never actually done before, and that is to restore a chair. Never actually done this in real life or in video, so this is gonna be the first for a lot of things. I actually found this chair on the side of the road while I was walking my dog, and it's called a Herman Miller chair. It's actually made from the 1940s to 60s-ish. So let's get to it. Obviously, the first thing I want to do is douse every bolt with WD-40 to make it easier to take off, because I don't want to make more work trying to take out a bolt if I don't have to. So yeah, years of experience, that's the first thing I do. So after I take all that stuff out, I'm basically left with the skeleton. It's made out of stainless steel, so pretty easy to work with, and it's only surface rust that it has, so I got off easy. Next thing I want to take off is actually the little seats, little I don't know what they're called, but it's basically the chair sits on it. It has these little threads on it so you could adjust the level of it so it doesn't teeter. But I'm going to take care of that later. For now, I'm going to take care of all the rust, which I'm going to be using steel wool from Harbor Freight and water. This stuff is awesome. I use it all the time. And as you can see here, this is the area that has the most rust, and it takes it off relatively well. Again, it's just surface rust, so I got off easy. If it was a little bit more, or it ate a little bit more of the metal, it wouldn't come out like this, but I got off lucky. So once I got the whole chair cleaned, the next thing I'm going to do is take care of these little foots. I'm just going to call them foots. Take off the bolt, which is super easy because the rubber was dry rotted, and then just scrape out the rest of the rubber. And then the next part, which is the biggest part of this project, is sanding until I take off all the gloss. And this board, for some reason, someone installed a third bolt at the bottom here, probably to make it move less. I don't know. I'm going to take care of that wood filler that I got from Home Depot. Not my most favorite wood filler. I've used wood filler before, but yeah, this one, I don't know. I do not suggest it. It just, I don't know, it doesn't hold up well. So while that's drying, I'm going to be painting the whole chair chrome colored. It's kind of similar to the stainless steel look. I couldn't find stainless steel paint, so I just went with chrome. I don't really mind it, you know. It looks the same as stainless steel to me. It's a little bit shinier. So while that chair is drying, I'm going to be pre-staining the boards before I actually put the stain on, because I've done wood before, stained it right away without using any sort of preconditioner, and it comes out blotchy and it does not look good. So this is the first time I actually did it properly. While the pre-stain is drying, I sandblasted the little foot pegs, and now I'm going to be painting them titanium silver. It's kind of the same. It looks relatively close to chrome, a little different of a shade, so that's why I went with it. And plus, I had the bottle laying around. So now once the pre-stain's soaked in, obviously the next step is to stain it. I'm going to be using a red oak stain. I thought it was going to come out a little bit darker on the first go around, but luckily for me, I could always add more layers of stain to get that darkness that I want. Now, I will say this, I kind of didn't know what to do. I didn't watch any videos on how to properly move the stain around, so I kind of just went with the grain. But as you can see here, I kind of forgot that that's what I was doing, so I was going against the grain, I guess. And so, yeah, I mean, at the final product, I didn't see it, so I guess that's what counts. So once I got that on, I'm going to let that dry for another 2 hours. I'm going to take care of the foot pegs now, and since I didn't have polyurethane laying around, I just used epoxy. And for the screws, I actually notched it out with my grinder just so the epoxy could have something to grab onto, because again, I'm going to be using the foot pegs to like adjust the seating, so I don't want it to be slipping inside the epoxy. And the epoxy is just simply 50-50 mixture. Once I got that in, I basically just glopped it on into the foot and then just inserted the screws, making sure that they were right in the center. Again, like I said, I thought the stain was going to be darker, so this is the second coat, and I didn't get it on film, but I did apply a third coat on here, so it does come out a little bit more darker. Again, I forgot to go with the grain, but like I said, end product, as you can see here, came out relatively good. And while I let the second coat dry, I'm going to put on the little foot pegs on here just so I could adjust them. I'm going to be simply just putting it on the floor, moving it a little bit, and it did move for the first time. So I just expanded the foot pegs that I needed to, and there was no issues after that. So obviously I need to attach the wood piece to the seat somehow, and I could only assume at one point they were glued, super, like really glued onto the seat. Since then it came off, but since I didn't have any super strong adhesive laying around, I just used the same epoxy that I used on the foot pegs for the chair. Obviously roughing up the surface area so it has something to grab onto, making sure it was even, and let it dry for 30 minutes to an hour. I actually let it for 24 hours to make sure everything was solid, because again, I'm going to be sitting on it, so I didn't want it to crack or break or anything. And then once that is dried, obviously put everything back together, and here is the finished product. It came out spectacular. You could kind of still see the hole, and this is why I didn't like that filler, but you know, what are you going to do? It is going to be a room chair that I'm going to be using to put on shoes and just, I don't know, sitting down. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.